Right, okay, everyone. I've had a busy few weeks with the new Old Hammer coming out, but it's that time again for Age of Sigmar and Stormbringer to come along. So I'm just gonna basically get into it because I've actually got 5 magazines to go through because the 5th magazine is a special issue that you get subscribed to on premium. Anyway, so let's get ourselves up and running. We are currently on issue number 47, which is a terrain issue, and what a piece of terrain that is. That's really, real big and beefy, that thing. So, you know, definitely something to get into in a little bit. Gosh, I've got so many models to build. I don't know how I'm going to get around to building all of the Age of Sigmar stuff while my desk is completely full of Bretonians, and I've still got a not a zombie dragon, a skeletal dragon, bone dragon to build, and Pegasus, I think, to build as well. So, issue number 47. Straight away, nice graphics right on the front of our Sneech horrors by the look of it. We have the Nexus Siphon as the miniature. Now, as said, not everyone gets excited about terrain, but the truth is, without terrain, your battles don't really have any real objectives other than to fight each other. You know, it just gives you a feeling of something to do. So we're going to learn about the Disciples of Sneech and your battlefield in Charman. So Charman is a really interesting place. If you've ever read the Archanaut's Oath book, definitely a book that I recommend reading. It will give you a good idea of the strangeness of that place. Anyway, so the Disciples of Sneech. See, I always struggle to pronounce that word. Sneech. It's like weird, isn't it? It's like Sneech. Anyway, my inability to pronounce things aside, the Changer of Ways, one of the most interesting of the Chaos gods. They're all kind of interesting, but you kind of got the Blood God, which is kind of like you would expect a god of Chaos to be all fighty and murdery. There's something about Sneech, the duplicity of its nature. It's an interesting kind of one to look into. I'm reading Solar War at the moment, and I'm up to a point where Ahriman of the Thousand Sons, who has probably unwillingly become a servant of Sneech in the Warhammer 40, Horus Heresy universe, and they're up to something. Duplicitous. So, right across the different versions of Warhammer, it's always always interesting to see that kind of what are its schemes and what are its purpose. Now, the fact that we're looking more into Charman says to me that those Arcanauts are going to be coming soon. We're heading towards, I think, the end of the Sylvaneth. I don't know how much more there is of them to do, so it's definitely seeing what's coming along. Let's have a look. A Nexus Siphon. Crucial to the safety of city Sigmars, the wellsprings harness and reinforcing the power of the ley lines in which the city is. Oh, right, okay, that's interesting. Kind of like a city centre. It seems to prevent demons and ghosts entering inside. That's cool. Right, let's have a look at something else there. Anyway, so yeah, there's quite interesting things though about this Nexus Siphon. I have no doubt it's going to be used within the battle. We go into the how to paint, and it's covering in particular dry brushing. With that kind of model, dry brushing does give a lovely stone effect. Dry brushing, shading, then looks like more dry brushing, which, so, you know, good techniques to learn, and, you know, probably some of the easiest beginner techniques to learn dry brushing as well. Okay, it actually has a lot of painting about the different terrain that we've had, including past terrain. So it does actually sort of drill into quite a lot of different types of painting as well. And then we have our battle plan. Excuse me. Ooh. Scouting the magic. Again, the Nexus Siphon's the main thing. You've got our Knight Arcanums. We got these options, so we can choose what we want to bring into the battlefield on this one. So again, it just means that you've got a bit of variety when you play the different battles. So as an issue, it's got quite some nice stuff in there, but I think the thing that's really kind of, you know, is it's a full sprue of a big building. One thing I like is it's in a lot of like small like sections. Now the reason I like that is if you manage to get your hands on a second one, because of the way it's done up, I could imagine you could build potentially different types of buildings with like more than one of them, or you could like combine them together in interesting ways, maybe make them taller or anything like that, really, just to give a bit of uniqueness. So, and I think it's a very nicely detailed piece of terrain. It's got some, you know, very lovely features, some like I'm gonna call them gargoyle faces, really, because that's what you tend to have on buildings. You've got the magical nexus in the middle of it all and things like that. So I think it's actually quite a nice, nicely set out miniature. It's got some lovely details in it that you could really, you know, as I said, you could really go to town on and make some interesting paint effects as well. I could imagine trying to do a marble effect on this, or a granite effect, to make it look different than just dry brush stone. So I might try and do something a bit clever with that, and probably, you know, getting over my head, but who goes. Yeah, and as for the issue itself, it tells us about the Disciples of Sneech, and it tells us a bit about the battlefields in Charman. I suppose in a lot of ways, so there's not as much fluff in this one, there's not as much background per se. It's more about, you know, what the purpose of this thing is and how it can be incorporated into your gameplay. So overall, issue number 47, you can tell it's probably not got me super excited. I'm not going to pretend that I'm like bouncing off the walls and loving it. It's a good model, as I said. Terrain is needed, otherwise your battlefields look boring. But by the same logic, you know, yeah, I think as an issue, it's not got me super excited in any particular way. And I think, though, if you need to learn a bit more about dry brushing techniques, it's got some good painting tips. So there we go. Maybe I'm not getting excited because I'm worn out at the moment with so many models being built. I don't think I've ever been so fed up with building models. So anyway, that's issue number 47. But I should get excited about the next issue, because over here is some squigs. So I'll see you in the next video.